2 Kings chapter 21. Manasseh king of Judah. Manasseh was 12 years old when he began his reign, and he reigned for 55 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Hephzibah. He did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, imitating the wretched practices of the people the Lord had driven out from the land in order to give to the Israelites. He rebuilt the sanctuaries on the hills which had been destroyed by Hezekiah his father. He built altars to the god Baal and made a sacred pillar similar to the one Ahab king of Israel had made. He knelt before all the stars of the heavens and worshipped them. He built altars in the courtyard of the house of the Lord, about which the Lord had said, "Jerusalem shall be the dwelling place of my name." He built altars for all the stars of the heavens in the two courtyards of the house of the Lord. He made his son pass through the fire. He practiced soothsaying and magic. He brought in seers and wizards, doing without ceasing what the Lord condemned, and thus provoking his anger. He even put up the sacred pillar of the goddess Asherah in the house of the Lord, in spite of what the Lord had said to David and to his son Solomon. "I shall let my name rest forever in this house and in Jerusalem, for I have chosen this city from among all the tribes of Israel. I shall no longer let Israel wander out of the land I gave to their fathers, provided they try to live in according to all the law I gave them through my servant Moses." But they did not listen, and Manasseh led them into doing things worse than those nations had done, whom the Lord had expelled before the Israelites. So the Lord spoke through the mouth of his servants the prophets, saying, "Manasseh king of Judah has multiplied the wretched practices and has acted worse than the Amorites. He has made the people of Judah sin with his repugnant images. Therefore I shall bring upon Jerusalem and upon Judah an evil so great that the ears of those who hear of it shall tingle. Jerusalem and its king shall suffer the fate of Samaria and the people of family of Ahab. I will wipe Jerusalem as one wipes a plate to clean it, wiping it and turning it upside down. I shall drive away the rest of my people and give them over into the hands of their enemies, so that they shall become their prey and booty. For they did what displeased me and provoked my anger from the day when their fathers came out of Egypt to this day." Manasseh also shed innocent blood in such quantity that it filled up Jerusalem from one end to the other, besides the sins which he made Judah to commit, doing what was wrong in the sight of the Lord. The rest of the history of Manasseh, all that he did and the sins he committed, are written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah. When Manasseh died, they buried him in the garden of his palace, the garden of Uzzah, and his son Amon reigned in his place. Amon king of Judah. Amon was 22 years old when he began his reign, and he reigned for 2 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Meshullemeth, daughter of Haruz of the city of Jothbah. He did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, as his father Manasseh had done. He completely followed in the footsteps of his father. He served the idols his father had served and bowed down before them. He abandoned the Lord, the God of his fathers, and did not walk in the way of the Lord. The officials of Ammon conspired against him and murdered him in his palace. But the citizens killed all who had plotted against the king, and they proclaimed his son, Josiah, king in his place. The rest of the history of Ammon and all that he did are written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah. They buried him in his tomb in the garden of Uzzah, and his son Josiah reigned in his place. 2 Kings chapter 22. Josiah king of Judah. Josiah was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned for 31 years in Jerusalem. His mother was Jedidah, daughter of Adiah of Bozkath. He did everything that was right in the eyes of the Lord and walked in the footsteps of David his ancestor, without turning aside either to the right or to the left. The book of the Lord is covered. In the 18th year of his reign, King Josiah sent his secretary Shaphan, son of Azaliah, son of Meshullam, to the house of the Lord, saying, Go up to the high priest Hilkiah and ask him to count the money which the people have offered for the house of the Lord, which the gatekeepers have collected. Let him hand it over to those in charge of the repairs of the house of the Lord. They shall use the money to pay the carpenters, the builders, and the masons who do the repairs of the house, and to buy the wood and stones needed for the repair of the house. But do not ask from them any account of the money, for they are honorable men. At that moment Hilkiah the high priest said to Shaphan the secretary, I have found the book of the law in the house of the Lord. And he entrusted the book to Shaphan, who read it. Then Shaphan went to the king and said, We have gathered the money in the house, and this has been turned over to the caretakers of the house to make the repairs. Then Shaphan added, The priest Hilkiah has given me a book. And Shaphan read the book to the king. When the king heard the contents of the book, he tore his clothes and commanded Hilkiah the priest, Ahikam son of Shaphan, Achbor son of Micaiah, Shaphan the secretary, and Asaiah his minister to do the following. Go and consult the Lord concerning the words of this book which you have found. Consult him for me, for the people, and for the whole of Judah, since our fathers did not listen to what this book says, nor to its ordinances. This is why the anger of the Lord is kindled against us. The priest Hilkiah, Ahikam, Achbor, Shaphan, and Asaiah went to consult the prophetess Huldah, wife of Shallum, son of Tikvah, son of Harhas, keeper of the wardrobe. She lived in Jerusalem in the new city. When they had spoken to her, she answered them, This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Tell the man who sent you to me, this is what the Lord says. I shall bring evil upon this place and upon its inhabitants according to all the words of the book which the king of Judah has read. For these people have abandoned me, and they have burned incense in honor of other gods. Because of all they have done, I am angry about this place, and the fire of my anger will not be quenched. You shall give this answer to the king of Judah, who has sent you to consult the Lord. The Lord, the God of Israel, says this. The warnings in this book shall not reach you, for your heart has been touched, and you have done penance in the presence of the Lord when you heard what I have said against this place and its inhabitants, that this place shall be desolate and cursed. You have torn your garments and wept before me, and I have heard you, says the Lord. Therefore you shall join your fathers. You shall die and be buried in peace without seeing any of the evils I shall send against this place. Job chapter 4. Eliphaz, first speech. Eliphaz the Temanite spoke next. Would you be grieved if we spoke? But who could ever remain silent? Remember how you have taught many, how you have strengthened their feeble hands. Your words have supported those who wavered, have steadied the knees that faltered. But now it is to you that trouble has come, and you are discouraged. Trouble has struck you, and you are dismayed. Should not your piety give you confidence, and your integrity of life give you hope? Have you seen a guiltless man perish, or an upright man done away with? As I see, those who plough evil, or those who sow trouble, reap the same. By the breath of God they are swept away, by the blast of his wrath they are destroyed. The lion may roar and the fierce lion may growl, but the teeth of its cubs will be broken. The lion will die for lack of prey, and the cubs of the lioness will wander. I have received a secret revelation, a whisper of it came to my ear. Amid disquieting thoughts from night visions, when people are in deep slumber, I was seized with fear and trembling that shook me to my very bones. A spirit passed over my face, and the hair of my body stood on end. It stopped and stood before my eyes, but I could not make out what it was. A figure stayed before my eyes. There was silence. Then I heard a voice. Can a mortal be just in the eyes of God? Can a man be pure before his Maker? Even in his servants he puts no trust, and with his angels he can find fault. How much more with those who live in houses of clay, whose foundation is in the dust, who are crushed as easily as a moth. Between dawn and dusk they are broken to pieces and unheeded vanish forever. Their tent peg is plucked up from within them, and they die without ever finding wisdom. John chapter 18, verse 19 to 20. Meanwhile, the high priest questioned Jesus about his disciples and his teaching. Jesus answered him, I have spoken openly to the world. I have always taught in places where the Jews meet together, either at the assemblies in synagogues or in the temple. I have taught nothing in secret. Why then do you ask me? Ask those who heard me, they know what I said. At this reply, one of the guards standing by struck Jesus on the face, saying, Is that the way to answer the high priest? Jesus said to him, If I have said something wrong, tell me what it is. But if I have spoken rightly, why do you strike me? Then Annas sent him bound to Caiaphas the high priest. Now Simon Peter stood there warming himself. They said to him, Surely you also are one of his disciples. He denied it and answered, I am not. But one of the high priest's servants, a relative of the one whose ear Peter had cut off, insisted, Did I not see you with him in the garden? Again Peter denied it, and at once the cock crowed. Jesus before Pilate. Then they led Jesus from the house of Caiaphas to the court of the Roman emperor. It was now morning. The Jews did not enter the praetorium, lest they be made unclean and be able to eat the Passover meal. So Pilate went out to them and asked, What charge do you bring against this man? They answered, If he were not a criminal, we would not have handed him over to you. Pilate said, Take him yourself and judge him according to your own law. But they replied, We are not permitted to put anyone to death. This was to fulfill the words Jesus had spoken, indicating the kind of death he was going to die. Pilate then entered the court again, called Jesus and asked, Are you the king of the Jews? Jesus replied, Does this word come from you, or did you hear it from others about me? Pilate answered, Am I a Jew? It was your own people and the chief priests who handed you over to me. What have you done? Jesus answered, My kingship does not come from this world. If I were a king like those of this world, my guards would have fought to save me from being handed over to the Jews, but my kingship is not from here. Pilate asked him, So you are a king? And Jesus answered, Just as you say, I am a king. For this I was born, and for this I have come into the world, to bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is on the side of truth hears my voice. Pilate said, What is truth? Pilate then went out to the Jews again and said, I find no crime in this man. Now, according to a custom of yours, I must release a prisoner at the Passover. If you agree, I will release for you the king of the Jews. But they insisted and cried out, Not this man, but Barabbas. Now Barabbas was a robber.